So quickly through the slides, this is for the 2023-2024 California Farm to School Incubator Grant Program. This session is being recorded and applications are due today at 5 p.m. That would be 5 p.m. Pacific time where we live. We were not going to be able to be up until midnight providing tech support. So that's why 5 p.m. We're really excited for all of this. If you haven't already, please visit our program webpage, which is the URL, the top URL here, and we'll put it in the chat also, both of these. The grant program webpage has all of the information you need to apply, including links to the application portal, links to the scorecard that has the application questions and review criteria so that you can self-score. Maybe if you have time for a final step, you could go back through and check out those details for yourself. And then, of course, we have the grant info session recording. The grant info session recording is like 2 hours long, and it's 11 o'clock now. So it's 11 plus 2 hours. That would be 1. That would leave you 4 hours to finish the app. So plenty of time, absolutely plenty of time. Okay, so that's the resources we wanted to share today. And then, of course, you can send emails to cafarmtoschool@cdfa.ca.gov. Any last minute stuff, you can send them to them. We're monitoring that inbox today and are going to do our best to respond to absolutely everything. But, we're getting so many questions. So that's available. And then we have this Q&A to answer your questions. That's why you're here live, even better. And then again, 5 p.m. today, April 4th, 4/4/24 felt good. Felt good to us. Okay, so that's what we're going to roll through today. Logistics is just, we're going to do hands raised, and then we're just going to go through every hand. If you don't want to raise your hand and you want to put your question in the chat, you can put it in the chat, but we're going to do these first. Yeah, and then, like I said, we're just going to take our time and go through all of them. And I have to share gratitude always. There's so many team members on the call today. If you're a team member, can you add CDFA to your name, and then we can see you on there, Jen, Pamela. But I have to give a shout out to Amy Garfinkel, who's going to be helping answer a ton of questions today. Thank you so much, Amy. 114-page Q&A that Amy has written. Amy, and then Rachel Pincus has written also 114 pages of Q&A. So much help, so much good teamwork, and we're really grateful. So Rachel's helping everything behind the scenes, then me and Amy answer these questions. Thanks, y'all. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go through the questions right now. I only see, 1, 2, 3, like 5 hands. But other people, if you have questions as you go, just raise them. Okay. First, I see Rose. Rose,
hi, good morning.
How can I help?
Hello.
Hi.
Okay, so I actually, as of last night, I got my biggest question answered. Either Amy or Rachel responded.
Yeah.
But I still have a couple that are kind of like underlying. I just want to make sure that my answers are perfect. I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So just to make sure. So as a school district, we're planning on creating micro farms on our campus and growing food for our cafeteria and a student-run farm stand. So that would mean that for number 24, we would be answering $0 allocated for procurement of local foods outside of campus. So does that mean that number 31 is also 0?
That's a good question. Amy's going to pull it up right now. So in track 1, we ask for what's your budget for procurement, and then to explain where any other funding sources are going to come from if it's 0. So Amy's going to pull it up right here, and then we'll be able to talk it through in specific.
Great,
so anyone else who's working on track 1, this would be a good thing to note also.
Hi, Rose. Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, so for 31, that's if you're going to be using grant funds, or if you're proposing to use grant funds to procure California grown food for hands-on food education opportunities. So if you want to use grant funds to buy that food to incorporate into something like a taste test or a cooking lesson, that would be the opportunity to share what that dollar amount you're proposing would be for that purpose, and then describe it. Actually, it doesn't ask you to describe it, but you would say the timeline for that one of when you're proposing to use the funds. But if you're not proposing to use grant funds to buy food for hands-on food education, then you would put 0.
Okay, so yeah, we'll be using grant funds to grow food for taste tests and for farm to table cooking classes on campus. So that would remain 0 for that portion.
Got it. Yeah. So if you're not actually going to be wanting to use grant funds to purchase the food, but rather using grant funds for like supplies and things like that to grow the food, then that goes under hands-on food education costs.
Perfect. Okay. That's very clear now. All right. Then the last, actually, no, sorry, two more. Number 34 about the lessons, like the activities, the hands-on activities and standards aligned. Goal 2 and goal 3, we have a lot, my team and I have a lot of lessons that kind of satisfy both. So in those text fields, I'm just wondering, like, how acceptable is it to be copying and pasting like the same lesson in the field for goal 2 and goal 3?
Oh yeah, great question. So yeah, in this work plan section in track 1, it is okay if the activities overlap that you're entering for each of the goals. We just suggest that as you're developing the activities for each goal, you're looking at the review criteria for that specific goal as you're outlining the activities.
Great. Okay. I'll make sure that that's clear when we're adding that. Okay. And then the very last thing, which is an easy answer, is there any way to include like supplemental information, like letters of support or spreadsheets or anything like that?
Yeah, another really great question. So in track 1, there are no upload buttons.
Yeah,
so,
I noticed.
Yeah, so there is not a space to upload letters of support in track 1. There is in all 4 tracks, there is this optional question at the very end of the application. Totally optional. It's a 1,000 character limit. And it's just, if you have anything else you'd like to share that didn't fit in the other text fields of the application, you're welcome to write it there. And then we just have a note that answering this question or leaving it blank will impact scoring.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. Thank you. Everything's clear and I'm all pumped full of adrenaline and ready to submit. Thank you again, guys.
Yay. Thank you, Rose. Thank you, Amy. And the only thing I want to note coming out of this one is, you know, there's sometimes a lot of questions on budget categories and is this an infrastructure cost or is this a supply cost or whatever? As long as you have a complete project in there, if afterwards we have to move things around to different categories and make adjustments like that, that's totally okay. So we always just say, put it where you think it should go, put it what you think it should be. And as long as you have that complete narrative and it's an eligible project, you know, we can work with you to adjust. Yeah.
Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I have Anna next, or Anna.
Hi, I just lowered my hand because you just answered
Oh, okay. I was like, where'd you go? Did you see my eye?
Yeah, I'm with Lompoc Unified and we're applying to track 1. So I'm just gonna take this opportunity to thank you and Amy for all your work. These sessions have been great. So thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Bye.
Oh, that's it? No questions?
Yeah, well, you just answered it. That's why I lowered my hand. That's what I meant. I just wanted to confirm that we didn't need any more documents with the application. Yep.
Okay, yay. You're awesome. Thank you. Okay, I have Jonah next.
Hi, our agency is applying for the track 3. I have a question. We're a Head Start and Early Head Start program, but we also have a home-based component, which is not a center-based. I want to include them, and I started to do that. And I'm just wondering, as far as like location, do I just put our central office and describe it, or because it's not a center, it's different, and it would be targeting families, parents, and some young children, but new parents with infants. So it would be have a parent education piece, and I'm just wondering how to detail that out.
That was a great question. I'm going to hand that one to Amy because track 3 has been so detailed. There have been so many great questions about it.
Sure, I'll try. Hi, Jonah. Great question. Yeah, so for track 3, if you're applying as a Farm to ECE TA organization, as long as you're meeting that minimum requirement of partnering with at least 2 of the eligible types of partner ECE sites, which include centers and family childcare homes. If you would also like to include a home visiting program as part of the population that your project will be serving in terms of 0 through 5-year-olds, you could totally do that, and it would just be up to you how to like fit it into your proposal.
Okay, all right, great. And then I just had one other question on infrastructure, and I know we talked a little bit about this. Having a little bit, does that absolutely have to be filled in for infrastructure funding? I have to allocate something there for the infrastructure funding.
No, that's not required in the budget to have an infrastructure cost. You can put 0.
Okay, okay. All right, great.
Mhm.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Good luck today.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Okay, Greg, you're up.
Thank you. My name is Greg Mass. I'm from Mass Organics in Glenn County. Applying for track 4. 2 questions. One is on question 37 on the track 4 application about visualization, asking for, I'm not clear on what you're after there.
It's just anything to show about your operation or like if you're going to build something, maybe what that site looks like now. Just anything that you think would represent your project and your business and the narrative that you're telling in the app. It's really up to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So fairly non-specific then. So,
Up to you. Yeah, I mean, we want to see, but I think what would be great is just like, we always think of it in terms of narrative and storytelling and do we know anything about you? So in the visualization in 37, Amy just pulled it up, but if you go, it's down below on review criteria.
yeah,
right?
I see it there.
Yeah, just did you upload it? It's just yes or no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Mhm.
Okay. Second question. I've asked this one of a couple of people already. Question 54, program income. I'm not clear on what is program income. And if I'm selling, let's say I'm selling a product to a school, does the money that comes from that sale have to be reinvested in the project? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's what we're saying. And oftentimes what that looks like is paying for staff costs or paying for infrastructure costs or materials or supplies or things like that, basic reinvestment into your business. So most people have just pretty standard language and saying like it's going to pay for staff time to continue to sustain relationships or infrastructure or maintenance or whatever that sort of thing is.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So basically every sale during the project that goes to a school has to go back into the system somehow.
Right. And like I said, a really common one is paying for staff time to sustain that relationship. You know, that's what a lot of people say. Or if they're getting a new truck or something, it'll go towards like, you know, maintenance on the truck, that sort of thing.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Of course. Thank you. Good luck. Excited. Like, we're always excited when producers apply for grants. It's a stretch. It's hard. So thank you. Okay. Next I have Michael Adams, and then I have Elena.
Hi, thank you. This is actually Cami from Nurturing Seed under my
Hi.
last name. Hi.
Hi, Cami.
So I have a couple questions, but one is about the budget for 40. For the example for 40B, for supplies, it lists them as a group, and then it doesn't provide numbers. And so I was wondering if that, like, why it's like that for that category, because then for 40C, the examples list the budget items individually with the numbers. And I wasn't sure if just because supplies are generally a smaller amount financially, or why those varying example structures.
Oh, good question. I'm gonna hand it to Amy because she just pulled it up so quick.
Thanks, Nick. Hi, Cami. Yeah, awesome question. So yeah, it is correct that for 40B, it just says to list the proposed supplies and briefly describe each item's purpose in the project. So for 40B, it's not asking to itemize the dollar amount of each of the proposed supplies costs. And there's a definition of supplies in the like online grant portal application, where I'm not sure the exact wording, but it's something about being less than a certain dollar amount. I think about
the per unit cost is less than 5,000. So what I did just to make it a little extra was I did the clumps like they recommend in the example, but I also put a total for each clump, which is some of them is above 5,000, but each individual item is still below that. So that strategy should remain for 40B. So then it sounds like for 40C and F, it should continue in the individual examples as they did. Like the item should be piece by piece.
Yeah, so for 40D and 40F, we do ask to estimate the cost of each individual item, but for 40B, totally okay to not itemize the dollar amounts, or if you'd like to, you're welcome to, but it wouldn't be required for 40B.
Okay, so then going beyond, in that example for 40 C and F, it says that you referenced the activity from the work plan, and I was wondering, do we need a separate activity for each budget item, or can multiple budget items refer back to the same activity description?
Yeah, that would be okay. Yeah, it's up to you. You don't have to have a separate activity for each budget item if you don't want to.
Okay, so then beyond, in that example, then we don't need additional budget item description. All we have to do is really reference that activity work plan item. Or should we add additional explanation? Because it doesn't show that in the example, so
Yeah, I think as long as you're responding to this prompt in 40D and responding to this prompt in 40F, and then the example in the online grant portal is like an example way that to format that response. But as long as you're responding to the prompt, that's sufficient.
okay. And then a question about the contractor. I've asked this question a couple times by email, and you refer me back to, like, I think 319 or something in the RFA, and it mentions, like, if you don't have a procurement policy, follow this bidding policy. But I was wondering, if you have your own procurement policy, can that include owner build contracting? Is that allowed within the framework of this grant, or is that something you know? Or
I'm actually not sure. That's definitely something we can look into. We just likely won't have an answer by the time the application's due.
okay.
Yeah.
So I think it's the kind of thing, like, do your best, and these kind of things, like, if the grant is decent, if there's some sort of question, will there be some back and forth, or if there's like a potential issue with the grant, does the whole thing get thrown out?
Oh, that's a great question. So in the RFA, there's a section, let's see, it's in review process, and it says, let's see, the CDFA reserves the right to ask applicants clarifying questions about their applications.
Okay.
And then above this, there's also a list. It says, during the administrative review, the following may result in disqualification of a grant application. And there's like a list of some things, if you're interested in taking a look at that before you submit.
Okay, thank you. And then, so then additionally, subcontractors would not be part of the team. It would just be the contractor that would be a team member as per the application, correct? Because the subcontractors are under the contractor, so you wouldn't need to list.
I think you're fine with just the contractor, and
Okay.
then just explain that, like, they may sub things out because the contractor is not secured yet.
Yeah,
So,
that makes sense.
like other people we've said guidance to just put like contractor TBD.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then lastly, for the program income follow-up to the previous guy's question, is the income made, like, we have an existing relationship with a school, so is the program income that you're making in addition to what you've already been making, or is it all the income that you're making from the school, even if you had a previous relationship with a school?
It's only the parts directly connected to this project.
Okay.
So if you have a
All right.
previous relationship and it's separate, like if this one is about the new truck, then it's all the deliveries with the new truck,
Okay.
Sort of thing. Mhm.
Okay, great, thanks. Oh,
Thank you.
and sorry, my partner has a question.
Hi, this is,
Okay, I saw the two hands. I wasn't sure how that happened.
yeah, I guess we're on two different computers, but they're both me.
Okay.
So, yeah, this is Mike Adams, and I'm looking at 41B, and looking at how we're describing the pay for the different jobs that are being done, and so we're having ourselves do some of these jobs, and so as the project lead coordinator, and then we have the farmer, we have two different roles. And I'm putting one of them at 40% full-time employee and the other at 30% full-time employee. But then when I write the rate of pay, let's say the rate of pay is $50,000 a year. Would I put that same amount as their rate of pay and say for one of the jobs, they're 40% of that, and the other job, they're 30% of that? Or, because they're two different jobs, so I don't know,
Mhm.
since,
Yeah.
do I say that one job is a certain amount and another job is, like, we haven't really split up our salary like this before.
Yeah, it's really up to you on how you want to frame that out. As long as it makes sense to you and it's clear in the app, I think it's fine. Amy, anything to note on that?
I guess not.
Are you there? Oh no, you nodded. Sorry, your head was down on the second page of faces. Yeah, you're good. You passed the Amy test.
Good, all right. Well, I think we're
Okay.
good, really. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, y'all. Okay, we're getting rid of 2. There we go. Okay, Elena, you're next, and then Julie. And I see Julie, some of yours are in the chat, but we'll work through that when we get to it. Okay, Elena.
Yeah, thanks. So the first question I had that was just a curious thing. Well, for some reason, the links in my download of the RFA aren't working, so I don't know how to access this document you guys are showing. So I don't know if it reflects perfectly what's on the grant portal, but on the portal for track 4, it shows in the activities section, it shows there's the goals. And so there's like the boxes for where you enter your activities relating to each goal. And then it shows the review criteria below that. The weird thing is that there's only a box for goal 1 and goal 2, but then in the review criteria, it shows 3 goals in the portal. So I don't know if like I'm misinterpreting something or if it's a mistake.
Yeah, it's all just conditional format. Oh, sorry, Amy, you came off, but it's just conditional formatting. You want to walk it through, Amy?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, exactly what Nick said. And Elena, that's a great question. So it starts with question 33. So in question 33, if you choose option 1, then only goal part 1 and goal part 2 should appear in question number 35. But if in question number 33, you select option 2, then in number 35, all 3 goals, part 1, 2, and 3 should appear. So if you've selected option 2 and the part 3 goal is text box is still not appearing, then please let us know for sure.
I'm pretty sure that's the case. I selected option 2 and it's only 2 goals are 2 goal boxes. I went ahead and like put my activities related to 2 and to goal 2 and 3 in the goal 2 box. So
Okay.
yeah. But
Maybe if you could take a screenshot and email it to us if that works, so we could take a look at how the conditional formatting is working or not working.
Yeah, I just wanted to let somebody know or make sure
Yeah.
I wasn't crazy. So, okay.
Well, send us the screenshot, and then Amy, can you put or Rachel, can you cut and paste the Amplifund contact info also in the chat, and the track 4 app questions and review criteria link too? So that way you'll have the link to the doc we're looking at, as well as the Amplifund phone number. And I forget what time they close today, their store, but I would suggest calling them. It's 8 p.m. Eastern, so it's like right at close. So I would suggest calling them if you need additional clarity, and we'll see what type of support they can provide too.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Where did you say you would put their phone number?
It's just here in the chat in this kind of longer answer.
Okay, let me paste these.
Yeah.
And while I'm pasting, second question, you guys had gotten to my question, but I still wasn't quite sure what was going on. So I think you've had a few producers contact you about like if they are paid through distributions, normally like how should they go in the labor section or as a contractor? Because they wouldn't necessarily be like receiving fringe benefits as most labor employees would. So should I put them
in as a contractor and give them a stipend or a
Well,
contract.
Amy's nodding, so I'm going to let her take it.
Oh yeah, that's a really good question. In terms of like how to categorize proposed costs in the project budget, we typically just say it's up to the applicant. And if you're unsure if it should fit in one or the other, then doing your best is great. And it's okay if you're
It
unsure.
won't make a big difference really where they go.
As
Okay.
long as it's an allowable cost and you're clearly like describing the cost, so it's clear what the proposed cost is. If it's in, a category that, if awarded would just need to get shifted into a different category, that would be totally fine. So yeah, just do your best, and sorry, we don't have a definitive answer.
No, totally fine. Thank you guys so much. I think that covers it for me.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next is Julie and then Lizzie Werber. Okay, Julie. I can read, you can do the chat if you want, because I can read your questions there. Or in the bottom left is the mute button and you can unmute, or we could ask you to unmute too, and you could share out loud. Okay, I'm gonna go back into the chat and then just start talking if you're there. Oh, you have it in the chat, okay. So we'll go through those here. I see them. For track 4, you did an overview shots of the farm and acres and a photo of the main site where the project will take place. That's about photos. You have a question on budget in track 4. 42A does not equal 42C and 42E combined, correct? So Amy's going to pull that up, and we can screen share it in track 4, the budget section, and how that goes together, because we know there's other growers here on the call. Yeah. So the question is, does 42A, is it supposed to equal 42C and 42E together or no?
Hi, Julie. That's a great question. So I think the answer is no. Like 42A, 42C, and 42E can all be, different proposed amounts based on what you're proposing in each category.
Right.
And then in terms of how everything sums together, that comes later in question, I think 47, but it comes a little later when it's asking you to like review and go back to all the different proposed award amounts you've entered previously, like in, A, C, and E, and in all the other sections, and making sure everything, when you combine it all together in total, equals your proposed award amount. Yeah. So the summing up comes a little bit later. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's great. All right, and then the last part of the question was just on track 4, the letter of intent having some formatting issues, where the program title is cutting off the last 2 words, even though it's within the character limit. The school district authority signature seems to have format issues as well. Noted both of these in the end of the app on optional additional info. Is there anything else? I think that's good that you just notify them there, and as long as you use the template, we'll do our best to find those little missing pieces of it if we have to. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. All right. So happy to answer that one. So thank you, Julie. Sorry that the Zoom is hard, but we're glad you were in here in the chat. Oh yeah, one last thing. Drum roll. I'm down. We can see. Oh, okay. So we'll do that. All right. So then we'll go to Lizzie Werber. Hi, Lizzie. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. So I am submitting on behalf of the Ugly Company, so under track 4, as a food hub distribution aggregator. And I just had a question. So we technically have 2 businesses, one of which houses our sales admin, resourcing team, and then one of which houses our production supplies, all of that stuff. So double the fun for applications, which is great. So my question is, there are 2 separate things that we're submitting for from a cost perspective. There's not any overlap in terms of of, it's pretty clean. There's two different things. But obviously, we don't necessarily have a totally clean sense of like who's going to be owning the project. So for example, myself, I sit on the sales team and I'm on that side of the business, but I'm really going to be integral to a lot of the supplies and production work that's happening on the other side that we're submitting for. So is that okay if there are, if it's like sort of cross-functionally referenced across both applications? Do they need to be totally separate in terms of who's owning it? Like, is that going to cause a problem down the road?
Yeah, good question. So first is, does each of those businesses have their own unique tax ID and business info? So it's totally separate in that front. So then, so that's first things first. Amy, anything else on eligibility before we go through just keeping the costs separated? No. Okay, so then the next thing is we just need to make sure that each project can stand on its own. So you would say like, all right, well, if only one of them gets funded, does that mean that neither of them can happen, right? Like if they both are tied together, then we would recommend figuring out a way to not tie them together, because it's possible that only one will get funded. And then the third thing is, it's really just up to you to figure out how you will keep those costs separate and non-duplicative. So if it's going to be like one person who could possibly be working between projects, I think there would have to be really, really clear documentation and recording on like what percentage of time is being billed to what grant. And then you'd have to tie in each invoice cycle, you'd have to tie like those timesheets, and that we'd probably have to develop additional reporting mechanisms that would be burdensome in order to make sure that there's no double billing happening or, things like that. Amy, anything else on that front?
No, but I can, just if you're interested in seeing the part in the RFA that kind of explains that piece that Nick was talking about, I can just find that and then put that in the chat too. So yeah, it's on page, let's see, page 16 of the RFA, and it's just at the top where it describes what Nick was saying about like projects, proposed projects standing on their own, and the thing about like non-duplication of costs. So if that's helpful, I'll put that in the chat just as a reference.
Awesome. It is very helpful. Thank you. Yeah. And our two projects are pretty separate. Obviously they're at the end of the day, they're towards the same goal, but if one comes through, one doesn't, it's not going to, impact our ability to execute either one. And then my other question, I'm going to take two questions since I have two applications. My other question is just sort of on the review and approval process, and this may have been answered earlier, so I apologize if that's the case. But when you guys are looking, is it really like an all or nothing thing where, you might say, okay, this element of the project is approved, this isn't? Like, how does that review process and consideration come into play in terms of what we're submitting?
Yeah, that's a great question. So first, we can put another link in the chat to I don't know if that's what was in there before, if it was track 4 or not. But we have a on our webpage underneath that apply now, like pull down, there's a link to all the application review criteria. So you can see how how each question will be scored. So that's really clear in advance. So it's right there under apply to the grant, application questions and review criteria. So track 4. So that's where you can see how we're going to score them all. And then once we get all the scores and have every project ranked, then we go through and we look at a number of different criteria. We look at geographic distribution is one thing. And then we also look and see, can we give full awards to each project? Our goal is to always give a full award. That's our goal. Sometimes we have, well, I'll say it this way. We reserve the right to offer less than was requested. It's everybody's preference to give the full amount, because then there's fewer edits and adjustments and everything like that have to be made. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Okay, next I have, let me see, it changed order when we went to this view. Next I had Stephanie, Paul, Furman, and then Linda. Are you there, Stephanie?
Yeah, I'm here, Nick. Thank you. I'm driving,
Yeah.
so sorry if I cut out a little
Oh,
bit.
that's okay.
I think I have more of a
Drive safe.
technical question that
Yeah.
thank you, that Rachel may have answered for me in the chat about the Amplifund. So
Uh-huh.
I've entered the application in and I keep clicking the save button. But then when I went back in later on to go in and continue, I couldn't get back in, and need to contact Amplifund for.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. So call them, and we put their info in the chat. And did that go on our webpage also yesterday?
Yeah, it's on our webpage under the FAQ section, and I just added it back to the chat. And I'm working on getting the page updated. Someone let us know that it's actually not extension 2, that's sales, it's extension 1. So that's correct in the
Okay.
chat, but I'm getting our website updated.
Okay. So use the chat link and call them as soon as you get to wherever you're going. And one person in the chat who's on our team, Pamela, said Amplifund has been very available, and they'll log into your application with you and figure out what's going on.
Perfect. Thank you. That's what I needed to know.
Okay. Yay. Fingers crossed.
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. Okay. Next, I have Linda.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you. Great. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. I have a few questions. One is on my budget. If I expense like a certain dollar amount for greenhouse materials, and I was planning on we can build it ourselves on our own, with our own labor, do I need to state that, or would that be obvious, or how is the best way to handle that?
I think you should put it in there and tell the person who's reviewing. That way we'll know who's going to do it. And it's okay if you're not going to bill it, like you can either choose to bill your own labor or not. But I would include that in part of the action plan, just on who's going to build it.
Okay, my next question is on my supplies budget. It's all, I checked the price of things online. So my total budget, let's say it comes out to the last like $979. Do I put that at the total budget, or do I round it up?
That's a great question too. Amy, do you have specific advice on that? My advice might be different. I want to hear what the actual answer is.
Hi, Linda. Yeah, great questions. So for this one, it would be like your best estimate at this time of what the supplies will cost during the grant term.
Yes, I did that, but what my question is the total amount. Like I haven't, when I see people's grants, I'll see it I don't see like $979. It would be 1,000. So I'm just curious.
Yeah, I would recommend rounding it, because the supplies are going to change in cost 6 months from now when you're actually buying it, Okay, so I think get it ish. And then if we have to adjust things like after programs are selected and all of that sort of thing, I think that's great. But still do your best to make it as accurate as possible, like Amy's saying, with a true estimate.
Okay, yes. Thank you very much. That's it.
Yeah, of course. It's hard because it's like you want to show how much planning you've done and how everything is perfect and how each 2x4 costs X amount of dollars. But then the price changes next week and it's all out the window. So just get it close is great. All right, Jezebel, I have you next.
Sorry, Nick, can I just add one thing? Sorry,
yeah,
Jezebel. Yeah, I just want to add to that, and this might not be necessary to say, but just in case that all of those proposed costs, like when we were talking about before, how it's like, adding up all of the different budget categories so that in that budget review section of the application, they should all total the total dollar amount requested earlier in the application. So just wanted to share that too, as you're working on estimating the cost. Again, not sure if that was needed to say, but just wanted to mention it. Yeah, sorry. And then yeah, back to Jezebel.
Hi, I'm Jezebel. I'm with Palm Springs Unified. So thank you so much for this opportunity. I was texting our accountant. I don't think he has any budget related questions. If we are to get this allocation, this will be our 3rd time with the grant. So maybe he thinks he's like a pro and doesn't have any budget related questions. I'm not sure. But if not, I'll just email Amy or Rachel and I'm sure that they'll answer those questions. Yeah. First of all, I want to say that Amplifund has been really streamlined and nice. I am like enjoying the application through this portal. However, there were some differences than like the last time I applied. And so I just want to make sure that I'm making my case in number 19, track 1, correctly. So last grant application, you guys gave us some nice links that allowed us to pinpoint if like certain students in our population are like high priority or things like that. And so I did reference, you know, our old application in making my case. However, like 88% of our enrolled students are, I would say, quote, high priority. But I was looking at this document that Amy's pulling up here, and what constitutes like an underserved community. And that basically is, if I'm understanding correctly, that's everyone who falls under the meal reduced price eligibility. But right now being under CEP, that's essentially everyone. So I just want to make sure I'm wording this correctly. Should I name them high priority population people, or like, I don't know. I just don't want to maybe answer this question wrong. Am I making sense? And that's not my
Yes.
only question. So I have a couple more.
No. Well, we can go quickly through that. I mean, first is that we had to change the questions for a number of reasons, but one is because the legislature asked us to prioritize Title I schools specifically.
Okay.
So we used to have links to a bunch of different maps and a bunch of different, you know, data sets, and we would have people pull their own data into the app. But then when we were reviewing, we had to audit all of that. And it was not fun. So we said, why don't we just do it? We'll just pull the data. So that's one piece of the puzzle now of why there's less to review, and that part's been streamlined.
Okay.
And then specifically for the language that you want to use, Amy, do you feel like there's specific language, or it's just whatever the district kind of feels like is most useful?
Yeah, thanks, Nick. And awesome question, Jezebel. Yeah, it really is up to you, which I know is like, we're broken record saying that. But I think the key thing as you're filling out this making the case question is to refer to the review criteria, because that's what the reviewers will be looking at when they're scoring the response. So just, you know, as you're writing and reviewing your response to this question, kind of taking a peek over at the review criteria parts A and B for making the case, and seeing if, you know, if you feel like you have clearly explained what this is asking. And then in terms of making the case, like examples of what types of things you could include, but don't have to, there's a list of like some things where, you know, like may include but not limited to, and it doesn't have direct links to specific data sources, but if you find your own like data sources, you could use those. So yeah, I think the biggest thing in terms of like if it's being worded correctly and things like that is just taking a look at the review criteria and seeing if you feel like you've met what that is outlining.
Okay, hopefully then I did that. But and you know, maybe I will just look up, I don't know, some rates on like our population, like hunger rate. I don't know, but maybe I could throw in some CEP information on there too, since all of our students right now are falling under that provision. And then, so thank you for that. And then moving over to question 27. I'm gonna scroll as we go to, or you know what, let's go, I'm so sorry. Let's actually go to question 27. Okay, so I've been working really closely with Farmer Anna with Old Grove, and you know, farmer work with Aziz, and they kind of gave me, you know, some pinpoints, obviously information about our farmers, and you know, hard facts about the farmers that we're working with. But I mentioned in goals 1, 2, and 3, and 4, in the first box of goal 1, that goals 1 through 4 are covered in activity 1 below. And so what I'm gathering by you guys answering everybody else's questions, as long as it makes sense, then
Yeah, basically. Basically, as long as you feel like you're answering that prompt of how and when, then it's really up to you on how in depth you want to go.
Okay.
Somebody asked before if there's a word count in those sections.
There isn't. Now that I'm
and
typing
there's
in
not.
there, there's a lot
There's
of word
not.
count in others.
But I think, you know, I always say right to be read. Someone has to read it and to be able to take it all in and to score it effectively. So I think just keep that in mind as you're filling out that section of we're looking for clarity first and foremost.
Okay.
So as long as it's clear how you're gonna meet those goals and then when you're gonna do it, that's great.
Okay. Perfect. Hopefully. And then question 31, the budget category. So in working now, our accountant didn't have this question, but because I just want to be very thorough, I'm going to ask this question for both of us. Under 32A, enter the total dollar amount for hands-on food education supplies. So we are proposing of doing like a split between a hydroponic system and an actual outside school garden. So we're estimating that like the hands-on food education supplies for 32B would be the itemization of like shovels, rakes, etc. And then in moving down into 32C and 32D, that would be like where the flex farm or the hydroponic system is located. Am I doing that?
That's totally up to you. Yeah, that would be totally fine. Like wherever you think it's best, as long as it makes sense, is good. Because that equipment versus supplies, like that one's tricky, and like we could work that out later if it ends up we move one to the other.
Okay. Hopefully, I think that makes sense. I don't know. Hopefully, it goes
I want to highlight like perfect. Hopefully, is like such a great line for grants that like, oh, hopefully it works, you know, and for it's just really great. So thank you, Jezebel, for those questions, and good luck today. And you know, we'll look for questions from the accountant if they have any doubts last minute. Okay, thank you. All right, next I have Crystal, and then I have Adriana.
Hi, thanks very much. So I couldn't understand totally the question about advanced funds. So we'd like to build a greenhouse and a water catchment area and a processing packing kind of room. So can we get advanced funds to do that, or does the project grant start date when that all occurs? And then, you know, it's going to take a few months to do that. So that means the time we're actually selling to schools and early childhood education centers is pushed back until those things are completed. Thank you, Amy. What page is that?
This is page 15. And the first thing is you can't ask nothing that happened. Everything that happens before the grant agreement is in place cannot be invoiced or reimbursed for. So first you have to wait for the project start date to get, like, anything that happens before the project start date, we can't give you money for. Everything after the start date, we can. And then Amy, do you want to talk through the second piece on reimbursement versus advance payment?
Oh, I'm already muted. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
I was like looking for the mute. Hi, Crystal. Awesome question. So yeah, on page 15 of the RFA, it has this paragraph about payment process, first about the reimbursement process, and then about this advance payment option. So if awarded, once the grant agreement is executed, meaning signed by both the grant recipient and by CDFA, and the grant term has started, then a recipient may request advanced payment for like project expenditures based on the approved project budget in the agreement. And then a few things to keep in mind about advanced payment are what it says here about it. It shall not exceed the amount necessary for a 3-month period of project expenses, and then it can't reduce the project balance below 10% of the award amount. So it can't go, advance payments can't go above 90% of the award amount. At some point, the last 10% has to be through reimbursement. And so then it also says if eligible and approved for advance payments. So, you know, if you request one and it's approved, then there are these advance payment regulations. And I'll put this link in the chat as well. So these are the like CDFA grant administration regulations, and the advance payment section is in section 316.1. I forget what page that's on. Let's see. It starts at like midway down page 12. Yeah.
Okay, so that's different than my understanding then. So advance payments are once the grant period starts in November of 2024, not before that. So any infrastructure building, all that stuff happens once the grant starts.
Exactly.
Correct, yes. So like what Nick was saying up here, grant recipients can't spend grant funds before the grant term start date or after the grant term end date. So it couldn't be before the grant term start date, which is right now estimated to be November 2024.
Next question, is having a partnership with just one ECE center right now sufficient to start? I think it says, you can list multiple, but we just have one letter of intent so far. That's okay?
Great question. Yeah, so the minimum partnership requirement is in track 4 is to partner with at least one of the eligible entities. And so if it's if your partner is a childcare center that operates the Child and Adult Care Food Programs, CACFP, then they would be an eligible partner. And then you would just need to include a letter of intent from that site.
Okay. And then one of the questions is about our project income. I don't know, I haven't studied their part of the track 1 or 2 or whatever it is to find out what kind of budget they're going to be allocated to purchase for children. Should I just kind of make up a number for that, or is there some sort of guideline?
Awesome question. Yeah, for the program income question in the application, we just ask that you do your best based on what you know at this point to estimate. And if you don't know the exact number, that's totally okay. We understand that you might not know how much program income will be generated yet.
And fringe benefits, we're small. We don't have fringe benefits for our employees. Is that a problem?
So it's up to you which proposed cost to enter into the budget. So yeah.
Okay, sustainable practices, I think it's question number 39. There's a list of all the different government programs, like maybe you've got grants for soil, maybe you've got grants for water conservation or SWEEP or something like that. So we haven't got grants for any of those things. We're just doing them naturally all by ourselves. Is that a problem? We just explain that, and well, let's see, that's not a question. I'm just gonna explain that because we're not enrolled in any of those programs, but we're doing it without grants. And last question, I hope, again, someone kind of commented on this, it's hard to know exactly costs, especially costs for contractors and building costs, months in the future. So if we have to adjust or kind of massage our budget a little bit later, we can do that, right? The CDFA is not going to say, nope, you said $18,000 for greenhouse and $12,000 for catchment. You can't spend 19 and 11. It's a massage a little bit as long as the numbers are generally working out. Okay.
Yes, exactly. We say as long as the why is the same, the how can change. So we just you just go through a revision process with our team and then move forward with the project.
Okay, I think I'm done. Thanks for letting me pester you with questions.
You're awesome. Thank you. I mean, we're happy to do it. This is the best part, is giving out the money. So, okay, thank you. All right. So next I have Adriana and then Jennifer.
Hi, good morning.
Hi.
So I'm calling from Menifee Union School District, and we're applying for track 1. And so I had a question. About question 13 about the project lead. I know it's technically not a scored question, but I'm just wondering if it's frowned upon to have the director be the project lead. Is that at all something that's gonna count against us, I guess? Okay.
No,
so
that part's not scored. It's just whoever is actually going to answer the phone when we call them about the project.
okay. So
Yeah.
my question in relation to that is, I know that there's a section that we have to list the positions and how much we're billing and all that, but I think you said earlier we don't have to bill the labor if we're doing things ourselves, right? So, okay, so that answers that. I just wanted to confirm, because we're not bringing in a new position or anything like that for what we're doing or wanting to do. We are going to partner with a local farm, to do more nutrition education for our students, both in the classroom and at the farm itself. And so they will be doing the majority of work. Well, there isn't a ton that we'll have to coordinate other than just getting it and working with the school sites to make sure we're all on the same page. So then because of that, how do I answer question 32 about the work plan and it because it's asking to categorize the nutrition education and you know what it is, right? So we're not buying supplies ourselves. We're not doing any of that. And so how do I categorize it? Is it, because I know the only three options are supplies, equipment, and infrastructure, and we're not purchasing any of that because the farm is doing it all. And so how do I categorize what they're doing for us and that cost?
Yeah, so you have the farm written in as a contractor as the team? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, Amy, so does it just go under contractual then?
So, well, if you're proposing to use grant funds to pay the farmer to provide those hands-on food education opportunities, then yeah, you could put that in your budget elsewhere. It could fall under contractual if your district considers that a contractual cost. There's also under other costs, mini grants are allowable. So, and then some places consider a mini grant a contractual cost. So it's really kind of up to you, which I feel like those three words are really annoying now as I'm saying them more and more. But just, yeah, kind of wherever you think it fits best. It's okay if it's, you know, for the purpose of hands-on food education, but it doesn't fit in like hands-on supplies, equipment, and infrastructure. So the important thing is just that hands-on food education is part of your proposed project work plan. And then it's up to you where to categorize the costs if you're proposing to use grant funds for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so it can be zero for the supplies, equipment, and all that listed under the contractual fees that we'll be paying.
Yes, definitely.
Perfect. And I just have one last question. So question 33, where it asks who will be responsible for implementing the nutrition education. So again, the question is the farm technically responsible because they're doing the bulk of the planning and providing the supplies and everything? Or are we, the district, the program lead, supposed to be listed there? I just wanted to make sure.
That's a good question. I think the intent of that is just who's going to be doing it.
Okay, so farm then.
Yeah, it sounds like it would be the farm, but it's your application. I'm not telling you what to put.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Good luck. Okay, Jennifer, our last hand. Thank you for waiting. Thank you. Thank you. How can we help?
Well, I was wondering about the budget. Sorry, I don't know if you guys answered this, but I dropped it in the chat, and it was about like the track, like asking for equipment and like it just covering certain part of it. Because we didn't like budget for that. Like we were like, the tractor is gonna be used for planting the blueberries and maintaining the blueberries throughout the whole project. So we just budget for the cost to be completely covered by the grant. But then we saw this like description, and I don't know if I was just super tired last night and I'm just like been like because I work for CAF, so I've been helping with multiple applications. So I just want to make sure that we budget correctly and we're not like setting them up to not like get selected.
Yeah, so as long as it's related to the project, then it's fine. So if they're getting the tractor to tend the blueberries to sell blueberries to schools, then if they're reinvesting those dollars in the tractor and the tractor's doing the blueberries, then makes sense to me.
Okay, that's what I thought. I think our grant writer was just stressed and had a lot on her hand.
Yeah, I mean, the part in here, I'd say the part that's like quite like, you know, everything has to be about farm to school and selling food to schools. So if it's about like selling commodities to schools and going to the local district, then everything related to that is fine. So same thing when you're buying a large piece of equipment. Let's say this happened on, I think, one of our first calls there, the California Wheat Commission was on, and they were asking about if they were going to get a stone mill. And part of the mill would be used for their farm to school initiatives, like about half the time, and the other half of the time, the mill might be used for like adult education in the community. Well, if that's the case, then you could only put in your budget 50% of that item. So as long as the item is being used 100% of the time for farm to school, then you could bill the grant for the whole item. It's going to be used for other stuff too, then you can only do the percentage for the project. Is that good? Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. Amy, anything else to add on that front? Sometimes it's hard to add stack explanations, but you're good? Okay.
I guess like
uh-huh.
my only concern there would be like them already having a tractor, like, and they sell to other entities, like they would end up, I feel like they would end up using the tractor for not like for other commodities, but solely like it's getting bought for the blueberry. So like, yeah.
So I mean, that's the rub of it right now, is they have to determine how much of it will be used for farm to school. And that's like a hard thing to run. So they have to decide, like, they have to just have reasoning around that. So to answer that part of it, like, although we sell to other products, this is going to be used X percent of the time for farm to school. Like, that's what I think people need to see and needs to be answered.
Okay, and then the deadline is a hard stop at 5 o'clock today. Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, good luck. Okay, we got 2 bonus hands here, Byron and Tom. So Byron, you're first.
Oh, there we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was missing. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's along the same lines of this question about selling, because we're producing apples and we're always selling into the marketplace to various customers, and we'd like to prioritize more to schools. We think there's tremendous opportunity to provide a lot more to schools. And we think there's a tremendous opportunity maybe in this grant to help us with production issues in the orchard, that specifically shade cloth. So I'm trying to go kind of link this climate smart idea of investing in shade cloth that can really help with production and sustainability. It's very synergistic and also outreaching and expanding what we do with schools. I'm getting a little hung up thinking about, okay, but how's the revenue come in? I mean, we have revenue coming in from apples we grow all the time. It can be up or down in crop years. I mean, it's very hard to anticipate and link. Right. It's like, how do I really link that together and count that revenue again? I mean, all of our revenue is ultimately getting reinvested into production.
Yeah, and I think that's what you should put. That's what you should put. All of our revenue is getting reinvested into production. And then for what the revenue number is, we would ask you to do your best to project what your revenue will be to schools. And then once the grant is going, you would be tracking that because you'd have invoices and stuff from the school, so you'd be able to tell exactly what it was.
But let's say you had a $200,000 in grant money for a project that affects production. And then during the grant period, you're selling $500,000 worth of fruit and into various places, including schools. How does that $500,000 in revenue? I mean, it's clearly there's all kinds of costs with that. There might not even be profit in it. You just never know. So how do does that get assigned against the grant somehow, or it's just an understanding that is operational cash flow, basically?
I would say it's an understanding that that's operational cash flow. And if it's $500,000 in total revenue, like that's not tied to the grant. It's only what's to the schools.
Yeah.
So you have to separate out your revenue sources and say, all right, what if this was tied directly to the grant program? And then that's what would be tied to this project.
Okay. I think I can. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So this is the hard stuff, man. This is why we do them live. Can you imagine trying to do that over email?
Oh, it's impossible. Right.
Okay, I know. Okay, thank you. All right, and then Thomas.
Thank you, and thank you for this last day and effort. I have put all of my budget in the spreadsheet first, and then populating that into the Amplifund application. And as I'm looking at putting that information in, there's a little bit of variance between what was asked and to the question of spend for the percentage of, say, equipment, property, build out, construction, what have you. I just need to label in there in those description boxes what percentage of the work being presented will be paying for that, so that my $100,000 build out is matched 50%, because 50% of the actual volume of the product going through that facility will be for schools, while the other 50% is just in the inherent nature of what our current processing is. So I just need to clarify, do I further clarify that? I'm assuming, right? Just further, I don't like to assume. Further clarify in there that yes, this is, I'm asking for this amount, but the total cost is, because there isn't a full project. I'm used to full project budgets being in place, and then describing what activities are just in the grant ask. So that's why I'm just a little bit confused.
Yeah. I'm gonna hand that one to Amy. Amy, what do you think on that?
Sure. Hi, Thomas. Yeah, awesome question. So like the budget section of the application is specifically asking for whatever amount you're proposing to be funded through the grant. So then if in addition in the itemization and description text box for the applicable budget category, you would like to provide the additional context of like how much that item is costing in total, but the certain percentage you're requesting, you're welcome to share that context if you would like to. So however you want to kind of frame and format your response in that text box to make it clear what you're proposing to be funded through the grant.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, Jezebel, did he text you?
No, he didn't text me back, but me again. Poop. I hope I didn't forget what I was gonna ask. Oh my gosh. Oh, are you sure you don't want any of my attachments? Like I worked really hard on compiling attachments. Like what do I do with all this information?
You can put them in the supplemental material in the last question where it says like other stuff you want to share with us.
Okay.
But now you'd have to post them online, and you could put a URL in there if you really wanted to show it that way.
Okay, like maybe do it as like a Google Doc or something, and then
Try. Yeah.
oh my gosh, you're pulling my leg. Okay.
No, I
if
mean,
I
you
do
could.
like a detailed description of all the supplemental stuff that I wanted to add, then I guess that could like suffice.
I mean, it's up to you on what you want to do. If you feel like you have extra information that doesn't perfectly fit in one of the answers, then that's what that last box is for.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. I will continue doing my best. Thank you.
Okay, and then one more bonus hand, and then we're going to go into the chat. Gwen.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Afternoon.
Yeah.
Okay, I am stuck here. I'm looking. I don't see for our goals. Goal number 3 for the hands-on learning. Let me get back to it.
This is the
There was
producer
not
track?
yes.
Yeah.
Producer track. I know it has goal 1, and then we've got goal part 2, and then there's goal part 3. And I'm concerned on the application, and I don't see a space for us to put a little narrative for goal part 3. And a lot of what I have to relate in travel relates to what I put under goal part 3, which was provide hands-on education opportunities for students. So did I miss something? I don't see that
This is a good
section
question.
for goal part.
No, this is a good question. Amy, can you pull up that part of the thing again so we can look at it? So it's conditional formatting where on question, I think it's 33. If you choose option 1, goal 3 won't show up later. But if you choose option 2, then goal 3 should show up later.
Oh.
And then if that doesn't work for you, then I would call the Amplifund phone number, and they can help you log in. I would call them soon, just because they might be getting a lot of calls from people today. And they can go into the app and help you.
Okay, I'm wondering, as a backup, if I
Huh?
should just put everything that I was gonna do in number 3, I
Mhm.
could put it in number 2, you know, just renumber
I
it
mean,
and just put everything in number 2 and to make sure it's in there.
yeah. Amy, what do you think would be best in that case if they can't get it to come up? Would you want it in 2 or would you want it in the last question where it's just like share other info?
Yeah, good
Oh.
question. So Gwen, yeah, I'm so sorry about that. So first, do you happen to know if you selected option 2 and it's still not showing up?
Let's see. I know that we did. Yeah. So, okay. No, we selected, okay, proposed project work plan, selected project. Okay. Selected option 1.
So if you select
Um,
option 1, then goal 3 won't show up. But if you select option 2, then goal 3 will show up. So try switching that answer and then see if it shows up.
Try switching, and actually I'm doing this right now. Ah,
Yeah.
there it is.
Okay, yay.
Yay!
Yay.
I'm so happy.
Okay. Okay, good. All right, there it is. You're set.
Okay, excellent, excellent. And I had one other
Yeah.
question.
Uh-huh.
Let's see. And this was regarding, oh gosh. Let's see, previous grant. Okay, might have been regarding previous grant, but we'll go on for that. I did have NRCS, and they're calling me back. This is regarding the verification that we're doing, the practice, healthy soils or whatever. They said, yeah, they were sure. They didn't know if they had a letter to send, but I do have one for the hedgerow planting that confirms that. They'll get back to me, I'm sure, on this was I think healthy soils is one that she wasn't sure about, but you will get in touch with them about healthy soils and the verification that we've been a part of the practice.
Yes. Is that right, Amy? They just click yes, and then we verify with our friends at Office of Environmental Farming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you've participated in any of these CDFA programs, including Healthy Soils or any of these other ones here, then yeah, if you check yes, then you don't have to upload anything, because since that's part of the same department that our office is in, we can then check with them to verify that. But alternatively, if you're selecting yes to this question that's about participating in any of the NRCS programs,
Right.
then that's where there is a follow-up question that asks for documentation, since that's a different agency from ours.
And it doesn't have to be a letter, right? We said like anything that proves that you've done it. So if they just have an email that proves it, that would be okay too. Amy, is that right?
So yeah, like for this one, the last one where it says within the past 12 months, have you received conservation TA from a CTA provider, like any of these options, including an NRCS office? And if you check yes to that, then the follow-up is to upload a letter or your intake form that demonstrates that relationship with that TA provider. And we did, like Nick was saying, get that question before, where somebody asked, could it be an email from them to show this conservation TA relationship? And we said, yes, as long as it's demonstrating this TA relationship within the past 12 months and it's clearly from the TA provider, then that would be okay for this one. So it just depends which option you're choosing in 38B. And then based on the option you choose, the type of verification will like appear in the portal for what is required.
Oh, okay. Very good. Okay, there is a question. I may put it at the end. Yeah, because it's ongoing and it was supposed to have started last year. They had some issues, and so it's starting this year. And so the timeline is what I was concerned, because it says 2022 is when the practice officially started, and we're already in 2024. It wasn't all our fault, but the paperwork does show 2022. So that was my wonder if you call them, contact them if there's a question on what I'm uploading.
No,
Oh,
we'll
since
only
it's-
do it if it's CDFA.
Since it's asking
I'm
about
sorry,
the
say
past
that
12
again?
months. Oh, sorry. We're all talking
Yeah.
over each other.
Amy, go.
Oh,
Are you
okay,
asking
great.
about?
Hopefully I'll,
Oh, okay.
Hold on,
Sorry.
hold on. Amy's gonna respond because she has a clarification, Gwen, and then we'll be able to move. Yeah, Amy.
Yeah, sorry, Gwen. Are you asking about this question because it's specifying within the past 12 months?
yes,
I see. And the letter is from like maybe over 12 months ago?
yes,
But you've received the TA within the past year, even though the letter is from before?
yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so as long as you can answer yes to this question about within the past 12 months, has your operation received conservation TA? And then you're just uploading the documentation to show that. So the timeline is about when you've received the TA.
So that would be okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
No problem on that one. Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Okay, thank you, Gwen. Okay, so that was all the hands. We're gonna go through the chat. The first one was at 11:06 a.m. If you can time travel back an hour and 10 minutes ago.
Hey, Nick,
yeah.
sorry, Nicole, if those are the questions you're going to, I think she had the first questions. She let me know that all of hers were answered through other people's, so she
yay.
left and feels all good to go.
Okay, good. I was actually just looking for her I was like, I saw her on here at 12:05. Is she still here? So, okay, yay. So I'll keep scrolling through. Pamela, thank you. Julie, we answered yours. Yay. So happy to do that. I think there might be another one later. Gwen, we got that. Amy, Rachel, Jezebel, yay. Thomas, same thing happened. Crystal, okay. Sorry, I'm reading as we go. I'm at 11:51, so I'm almost caught up. Jody, we are wishing you luck. Good luck. Okay, Julie, here you go. Here's your other question. So you asked maybe the application name is 2324. Yeah, the application name's up to you. So the name and then project information page where it asks name and project title, that stuff's up to you to determine what you think is best. It's just to organize the projects for that front. So you get to decide. Jennifer, we talked to. Okay, Haley. Okay, I see you on here. Okay, if our school nutrition rep, you, the food service director, is also member 4 of the farm to school project lead, should I just put the same sentence describing the role and why it's important? You can totally do that. That's up to you to determine what's going to be best. And if it's the same thing, then it's the same thing. That's okay. Yeah, you don't have to make up 2 reasons. You don't want to? Okay. All right, and then Byron and then Jezebel. Okay, we did it. There's no more questions in the chat. There's no more. Adriana's got her hand raised, but that's from earlier. So it's go time. I can tell you right now there's 248 applications submitted. So we got a lot of space left for people to apply. I really encourage you, get it in, get it submitted. And we got 5 hours left. Okay.
Hey, what's the breakdown on the tracks of those 248?
We don't know just yet because I get one every minute that we're on here. So once we get all the apps in, we're going to do a big communications load to try to tell everyone, hey, here's how much money was requested. Here's how many apps in each track and all that. So we'll have that after.
Okay, and what's the anticipated? When are you guys planning to have all this reviewed? That's a lot of applications to go through.
Yeah, and we expect hopefully 100 more by the end of the day. So I think our goal on the RFA, what's it say? And I don't want to misquote it. It's the last day of May. Is the announcement, I think, but it might be the last day in June.
When you announce winners, grantees?
When we announce who gets it. Yeah, let's see what it
that's
says
pretty good.
May, June.
That's impressive.
Yeah, May, June. We got a big team now. So it says May, June, and Amy highlighted estimated. We're gonna fly through these. We love it. We can't wait. We're gonna go through as fast as we can. And May, June is our timeline. So
Excellent.
I would like, and we'll keep the website updated for folks so they can know where we're at in the review process.
Cool. Okay.
Okay. All
Thanks,
right.
everybody.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
everyone. Good
Thank you.
luck. Hey, good luck. Good luck.
I'm super excited. It's our first time doing this and our first time actually applying for any grant.
Yay.
Heard about it kind of at the last minute. So I'm really appreciate all the support and quick turnover for questions and everything.
Yay. Thank you, Crystal, and thank you, Amy and Rachel and the whole CDFA team on here. It's a true team effort to get all this stuff out to the world. So thanks, everyone.
Take care.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, this is our first time too. We're not used to be able to apply for something like this. So it's a learning experience, and we'll keep it going.
Okay, yay. Thank you.
Thank you for all your help.
Okay, good luck.